Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Burn Fat and Feast podcast. My name is Sarah, your host. And today I have a special guest. Miss Christiane Schroeter is on today, and she is talking to us all about procrastination, which I cannot wait to dive into because I don't know about you, but I've been there, done that, and I still feel like there are days where I struggle with procrastinating on certain items in my week. So cannot wait to chat with her about all of that. So Christina, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah. I'm super excited to be here.
Glad to have you as well. So Christina, tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so my name is, and I'm going to give you a challenge right now. I'm actually born in Germany. So my name is Christiane, and it's a totally different spin on what you might have heard before because my name ends with an E, but I'm pronouncing it Christiane.
Oh.
So I'm actually a full-time professor here in California. I teach marketing, innovation, entrepreneurship. I'm also a health and wellness coach because I have a bachelor's degree in foods and nutrition, and my Ph.D. is in applied economics with an emphasis on obesity. So you're kind of getting excited right now. She's like, oh my gosh, he knows health. Oh, for sure. Because I also teach fitness classes at the recreation center at the university where I'm teaching. So I have clients that I see one-on-one in my mastermind. I have students that I see in the classroom. I have people I see at the recreation center. And I have a podcast that's called Happy Healthy Hustle. So I'm really about building community and connecting with others.
I love it. You are my people for sure. That's awesome. So can we start by talking a little bit about procrastination and just explain to us what exactly procrastination is? Let's kind of start from the bottom, so to speak. Talk a little bit about what that is. And then I know that you're going to share a lot about some of the reasons why we delay, especially some of those lifestyle choices.
For sure. So let's maybe pick some very typical types of procrastination I see all the time with my clients, but also in my workout classes right there. So, for instance, the whole New Year's resolutions and then getting started and actually going to the gym right there. So, you might have purchased a gym membership. You might actually really love the gym. But then the fact of getting into the car, driving there, getting into the workout class, showering, changing clothing again, and afterwards, that's a lot of stuff I just went through. And that was maybe not even everything. So procrastination happens because what we look at is so big and so intimidating. It nearly feels like you're at the bottom of the hill and you're looking up and you just see the snow on the mountain and you're like, oh my gosh. It's totally over, and it's like this bearing heavy load on your shoulders. And you're like, you know what? I'm not going to get started. I'm kind of going to walk around this hill. I'm going to stay in the valley because, I actually do like valleys a lot. And that is just something I'm comfortable with. So why make myself uncomfortable? I talk to my clients about it all the time. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if you stay down in the valley, you're never ever going to see what it feels like to go to that gym. You might meet some of your best friends at the gym. Aside from the fact, of course, that you're doing a workout, you might actually have an amazing time where you maybe seeing creativity comes in because your mind switches off from work and it focuses on these fantastic happy hormones that all of a sudden you get the best ideas ever. So aside from your goal and getting to the gym, there's all these amazing other side benefits that you need to think about. So procrastination frequently just thinks about this big thing, and getting started is really, really difficult.
I feel that. And I love that you said that it's about your comfort zone and getting out of that comfort zone. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, so to speak. But I will say that, when we get out of that space of the comfort zone and step outside of it, let's if I think about my personal self and getting out of my comfort zone, every single time I do it, I'm so proud. Like there's such an endorphin rush there of, I feel so proud that I actually did that. I actually did step out of that valley, of that comfort zone, and get it done. So I'm sure there's research behind that as well, as far as what's happening neurologically in our head. But I personally feel like there's an endorphin rush there, right?
Yeah, and that's actually perfect that you bring this up, Sarah. So with my clients, I kind of like tune in when they get that endorphin rush, because that's really the point to where the magic can happen, so to speak. Right after you get that endorphin rush, sit down and write down, ideally actually on a piece of paper, maybe a sticky note. I like sticky notes a lot. Write down how you feel in that moment. And then put those post-its in places where you would see them when next time you may be getting ready to procrastinate. So when you write down, oh my gosh, feeling amazing, conquer the world. Oh my gosh, like the strength I'm feeling, I'm walking straight. I'm feeling like my skin is glowing, blah, 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 blah. Whatever that is, write that down. Because in the moment when you procrastinate, you don't remember that. But when you write it down, it reminds you about, oh, I did feel like $1,000,000 right there.
I
That's what you need.
I love that. I love that. I am so a sticky note girl. I have them everywhere, and I have daily affirmations, and they're posted with
Yep.
sticky notes. Yeah, all the things, sticky notes. Yeah, because there's a lot of power of seeing what it is that we want to feel and know and be over and over again. And so those sticky notes are super powerful. I have a question for you. So what if we can't, we're not there yet? Like we haven't done the thing to get unstuck. What if we're still in the mode of procrastinating and feel like we can't get out of that? What tips do you have there?
So one of my biggest tip is connect with others, because we're all procrastinators deep down. That's why there are deadlines, obviously. But you need to share your goal with somebody else. And you need to be very aware that that person is probably going to keep reminding you, did you actually go to the gym? Because you told me Monday you would go, and today's Wednesday and you still haven't been. Uh-oh. So you need to be obviously reaching out to others that can be what I call accountability partners. So in my mastermind, I very intentionally have people share their goal openly. And sometimes they're totally afraid of. They're like, oh my gosh, I want to start a podcast and I have no idea how to do it. It's like, yay. And maybe there's somebody else that started a podcast and they can share how they did that. Boom, right there, connection. So have those two people connect, and maybe the one person that has the podcast reaches out and say, did you get started? You don't need to buy a fancy microphone, just get started, right? And so sometimes we are so intimidated. We need to go to the gym, we need to buy clothing, we need to buy those fancy water bottles that everybody's carrying, but they're sold out in stores. Don't overthink it, right? So what you really need is somebody that is at that side on top of the hill and kind of reaches down, gives you a hand, like, come on, you can do it too. And all of a sudden it makes you realize, I needed that connection. I needed that person that kind of kicks me in the fanny and gets up the hill. And that is what is accountability all about. That all of a sudden you have somebody that's waiting for you at the gym, and you're not the person that's going to say, no, I'm not going to come. And you are like, all right, well, in that case, it looks like I can't procrastinate anymore. I'm actually really going to do it now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. We speak of accountability every single day in our community over here. That's huge. And I think especially for women, we're even more connected, to that social aspect than men. I mean, we're all social beings, but we definitely have more of that connection and thrive with that connection as women. And yes, I see that in our community where there is accountability and there is that connection between women of creating those goals and setting them and actually achieving them. And like you said, getting out of that procrastination rut that we all get in. And I love that you said earlier, that's why we have deadlines. It's true. We all do procrastinate at some way, shape, or form, for sure. So, okay. So if we have the accountability, is what if we don't have accountability? What would you say is a step for somebody who's like, that sounds great, but I'm not connected. How can they find
Mm,
connection, or is there something
mm,
else they can do?
mm. So building connection is another thing that we like to procrastinate. Maybe you're like the total introvert. You're like, okay, I don't like going out. So I'm just not going to build connection. And I don't blame you because I'm an introvert myself. And so I don't go to these network functions where there's 300 people gathering in one room. It sounds not appealing to me. I know my husband will enjoy this. I personally don't. I'm more like a one-on-one type of person or like small group person. That's like my jam, right? So how do you build connection if you are not just throwing yourself out there and you're like, yeah, I am. Well, think about all these different places where you go during the day, right? Go grocery shopping, go to the coffee shop. Maybe you are going to the gym. Can you not just start talking to people? I mean, that's what I embrace about the United States. People are like always so happy to build connection. And even if it's just making the day of the person at the checkout right there, you might not become friends, but you know where I'm heading with all this. You can find accountability partners right and left. A lot of my best friends I've never met in real life. Where did I find them? I found them through my podcast, right? They were the guests on my podcast. Now you're like, well, I don't have a podcast, Christiane. That's just an example. So, for instance, you could join the gym and maybe you're connecting with a person while you change your shoes. You're both sitting down on the bench. And you're like, oh, do you like those shoes? The ones with the really big sole, the ones that are supposed to cut down on your hamstring pain. And then you start talking about shoes and you say, you know what? I really enjoy our conversation right now. And maybe you can text me and give me some more pointers about where you found them, blah, blah, blah. And maybe we can meet up and walk one day with our new shoes or whatever. So you need to find a commonality with somebody else. And that might be at a spot where you anywhere are, because you are eventually leaving your house. And that's just an opportunity for you to find that connection piece right there. And then, of course, if you're like, okay, I still don't feel comfortable with any of that stuff, dig down through your phone, look at the connections you already have, your friends, your family, your colleagues, and you will probably find somebody there that could be an accountability partner. Because at the end of the day, you don't even have to have the same goal. You just have to be connected and encourage yourself. I'm going to reach out to this other person. I'm going to make the other person do whatever they want to reach. And I know that they're doing that for me too. That's it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love that. It does involve stepping out of your comfort zone, possibly slightly, right? To talk to someone that maybe you don't know, or just be open. I think, when you were talking, I thought, okay, it's just about really being open to your surroundings a little bit more when you are going through your daily activities, places that you always go. Or I have 3 kids, and if they're in sports or activities, like, what people do you see on a regular basis that you see, but you've actually never talked to? And you could spark up a conversation there. So those are great, great tips. Great tips. Just opening our eyes a little bit. Okay. So Christiana, how do we set like realistic goals here? So, kind of stepping out of procrastination, and how do we keep from going back there, I guess, to be realistic about what we're doing, so we can continue to move forward?
Mhm. Yeah. So think a little bit like we were in the valley, we look at the hill, right? So maybe we found an accountability partner, and let's just say that person is maybe a friend, family member. So can we keep going to the gym if the gym is like the big hill of like, how can I do this? The number one mistake that a lot of people do is they say, all right, yeah, I love the workout class. And I put these sticky notes up and they say how great I felt. I'm going to do this every single day, right? Number one mistake. Don't do that. So you need to stick to consistency, and most likely that consistency might not be every day, because remember how hard it was for you to even get to the gym, and now you want to do this every single day? No, don't do that, right? So how about once per week? How about your wellness becomes a Wednesday? So tie a certain action to a certain day and have that accountability partner reach out to you. And you actually probably have to write that on your calendar too. Wellness Wednesday, gym time, so that it's black and white right there. And maybe even set a reminder 2 days before gym time so you don't schedule something else. Ideally, share that calendar entry with other people too. That's what I do. So I share it with my family so they know, oh, mom's going to the gym. Because by sharing it, it's out there in the open. And then it's not just like me thinking, oh, I should maybe go to the gym. And you know what? Actually doesn't sound good today. No, no, no. It's like other people like, did you go to the gym? Did you have a good time? Did you meet somebody? And of course, we're all guilty of that. So where we're like, well, I got so busy, I got sidetracked. And then it just like felt like a really good thing. Like I should just not go to the gym anymore. No, no, no. You need this. Remember the sticky note that says how amazing you felt. So by staying consistent and really breaking it down into what feels comfortable to you, like you're anchoring it to a day, maybe you can go to the gym when you're anyway driving towards that direction. So you're already creating a little bit what I call habit stacking. You're actually making yourself an easier time, and you're taking down a little bit of the steepness of that hill because it's already connected to something you're doing anyway.
Yeah. Okay. You're speaking my language. I love some habit stacking for sure. So okay. So when you're talking about this, I have to say that when you mention consistency, and I talk about consistency a lot, I feel like there is such a stigma or mindset around consistency, that consistency means 100% of the time. Consistency means perfection, right? And so
Yeah.
thank you for saying, don't do it every day, because that's not what consistency is about. It's about what we're doing most of the time. And if you're going to the gym a few days a week, that's what you're doing most of the time, on a weekly basis, a few days a week. So thank you for saying that, because I've been preaching that so much, especially recently. I feel like, I don't know if it's just social media all around us, but that idea of, well, I wasn't consistent this week. And when you look at the course of the week, I'm looking at my client going, but you actually were consistent. You did 5 days out of 7. That is consistent, right? So that's huge to understand and realize that consistency is just what you can do at this point in time. Um, so you mentioned also saying to your family, like, this is my gym time, or, just making sure it's kind of like on the calendar and it's scheduled. And I think there's a lot of truth to that too. Not only does that remind you, but if you're telling other people in your family, or like, we have this on our family calendar, my husband and I work out at a certain time every day. It's on our family calendar on our phones. We've got teenagers, so everybody's got their own device. Everybody knows what's happening. And we do the same with our meal planning. So I think that also adds another layer of accountability, right? It's not just your personal thing. It's, if you don't do it, people are going to ask, well, it's right there on your calendar. What happened? Right? Yeah, I love that. Okay. So any other tips that you can give us today for procrastination or just staying the course?
Yeah. So in my coaching, and we talked about this when we began about the fun name that I have, Christiane, in my German background right there. In my coaching, actually, really, I embrace what I call petite practices, which in a certain way, when you think about the word petite, small practices, habit, it's essentially using small habits to reach your goal. So I have a very structured system because I am from Europe. So that's my little European flair right there, that encourage you. That hill right there, at the end of the day, it's actually just taking small steps at a time that lead to that really big result of consistency in creating a schedule of workout time for you. So think about the hill is essentially just step by step away. Because when you run up a hill, if you are a runner, focus on the rhythm of your feet, right? Don't focus on running up fast. You don't have to run up fast. You basically just have to focus on finding a rhythm, which is that consistency we talked about, and you're going to get to the top. You could even look down. And then when you're on the top, then you're basically like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I reached all of this, right? So the main goal is really that no matter what you're trying to accomplish, try to break it down into smaller, digestible chunks that are more bite-sized. Because nobody eats an elephant like the whole thing. It's really just like one step and one bite at a time, and that will get you there. So procrastination at the end of the day might just mean that your goal just has to be chunked down a little bit smaller, and then you're going to accomplish it.
Yes, I love that so much. That's beautiful. One step at a time, one bite at a time, you will get there. So, okay, if you were to say to someone listening right now, somebody that's struggling, just getting started, making that first step that's just stuck in procrastination, what would you say to somebody struggling right now?
Sometimes what helps is trying a different thing. Sometimes like doing what you have been doing over and over is a kind of it seems crazy because you know that that didn't work, right? Sometimes what helps is trying a different system because the different system might just be the perfect thing that you needed to really get to where you're going. That might be a different structure, that might be a different way of reaching your goals. So that's again coming back to this whole fact of like becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. Maybe you have to reach out to a coach, and that coach might just speak the language that you needed to hear to get to where you're going, because what you were doing before didn't lead to anything. And that just might mean that I need help. So don't be afraid of asking for help and delegating the structure that you need to somebody else and say, create the structure for me. So my freebie today is actually a planner, and I'm sharing the planner with you because it helped lots of clients, but it also shows you a little bit about my coaching and the way that I help my clients reach their goals. Because at the end of the day, we all have goals, but it's really sharing how you can get there. So it'll actually help you get there with the system. And I think that's really what you need to look at. It's the journey of getting there, that is the magic piece.
I love that. Yes, the journey, all about the journey, because we're not necessarily at the end goal.
Never.
We're still working. We're always working every day. Fabulous. So, your freebie that you said is a planner is linked in the show notes below. So everybody can find that for sure to get started. And then tell us where else we can find you.
So you can look at my website to join the mastermind. It's hellohappynest.com. Hellohappynest.com. Check out my podcast, which is called Happy Healthy Hustle, which is actually turning one. Was born on 3/23/23. So I'm very much into anchoring, kickstarting something, not procrastinating, and anchoring it maybe around a fun date. And then, of course, you can also look at my Instagram. I post lots of little healthy tidbits, but also I post my failures because I think we got to be authentic and open about things that maybe didn't work well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hello.happy.nest on Instagram, and I would love to connect with you there as well.
Excellent. And we will leave all of those links in the show note as well. So you guys can connect with Christiana on her website and podcast, Instagram, all the places, and grab that freebie. Thank you so very much for all those words of wisdom today. Super duper helpful to get us from going from stuck to unstuck in procrastination. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's connect. Bye.
It sounds great.